I'm Vince Edwards. I'm a graduate research assistant here at FAU's Center for Environmental Studies.
Hi, I'm Alyssa Wood. I'm a graduate student at Florida Atlantic University in the Geosciences program and a research assistant at the Center for Environmental Studies with Dr. Colin Polsky.
I'm Jean Marie Steckler-Buck, and I'm a research assistant at Center for Environmental Studies at Florida Atlantic University.
Hi, I'm Hallie Meltzer. I'm a research assistant at the Center for Environmental Studies and an incoming master's student with Dr. Colin Polsky.
So here we are in Massachusetts, getting ready to do our first focus groups tonight. And we're doing these focus groups to try to gauge public perception of ecosystem values. And our other investigations will be taking place in Virginia and Georgia. So the reason we're conducting the research this way is because it's a great way to try to achieve value outside of a typical economic valuation. So a lot of times it's hard to quantify in monetary terms how people feel about marshlands or natural environments, ecosystem services that they provide. So in getting local residents to sit around a table and just talk about how they feel, what they value, where their priorities lie, and how they feel about preservation or conservation, we think can be a very valuable asset in the discussion about how to manage this type of environment.
So we're on a salt marsh, and this is what we're looking at and asking the residents of the area.
What's your most memorable experience out here? When you think of a salt marsh, what do you think of? Do you think that the health of the marsh impacts your well-being in any way?
A salt marsh basically combines fresh and salt water to create brackish water, which produces an environment that's home to a multitude of animals, some birds, some aquatic life.
There's mussels here just walking around the marsh, and you kind of feel some crunchies when you're walking in the mud. Everything's just like teeming with life, some birds, the cute little birds out in the grass. I love little birds. I love them.
We've been talking to people from the area, and they're saying that they really think that this area helps them with mental health, that if it wasn't here that they would suffer a lot of its cultural identity, community identity, so I can see that. Last night people were mentioning how they live here for a reason and they're not sure if the marsh attracts certain people or if people just turn into certain people from the marsh. And I can see that it's a really special place. Humans overlapping with nature in this really wide, open space. It's nice to see the balance of everybody existing together.
Now we're outside on Sapelo Island in the marsh. It's all around us, and it's low tide, so usually this fills up with water, and this marsh, salt marsh, helps protect people from flooding. That's part of the ecosystem service.
Through our investigations in communities in Massachusetts, Virginia, and Georgia, we found that while the specific inputs and outputs of each human environment system may vary, many of the processes that define these relationships are similar. In all three locations, participants identified a number of ecosystem services and benefits which they perceive as valuable, followed by a set of threats to the provision of those services and benefits, and finally the resulting community responses to the interface of those services, benefits, and threats. In Massachusetts, recreational experiences in aesthetically pleasing marshes result in feelings of serenity. Participants feel that the provision of serenity is threatened by increasing residential development, which leads to widespread conservation support within the community. In Virginia, participants feel that recreational experiences and water-based livelihoods based in salt marshes promote a sense of marsh and shore identity. This identity is being threatened by industrial agriculture and increasing flood risk, which inspires community activism and the identification of a variety of additional conservation needs within the community. Participants in Georgia identified childhood experiences in expansive salt marshes as being primary drivers of the ecosystem service stewardship cultivation, which they feel is threatened by residential development and industrial pollution.
In Georgia, we additionally interviewed 9 key stakeholders from local and state governments, nonprofits, and small businesses. Those stakeholders valued the salt marshes almost identically to the focus group participants. However, there was a main difference between the two in that the stakeholders identified sea rise and climate change as a major threat. Additionally, the stakeholders characterized future residential development as an opportunity to honor the marsh rather than an all-out threat like the general public in the focus group discussions. They all identified an existing practice and ever-present need to work together to ensure the health and safety of the marsh.
All right.
Say, stay dry, kids. Wetlands!